Good day and welcome to our daily news roundup on Atlantic TV. I'm Mike Egobadia. Here are our top stories. Federal government issues flood warnings to 26 states and FCT. One injured as suspected bomb explodes in Lagos. Presidency criticized Obi over call for Tinubu's resignation. And NIWA launches waterway cleanup for blue economy. And on the foreign scene, Bonham leads race for UK Prime Minister after Starmer resigns. And talking sports, Haaland fires Norway into 32 as Senegal near exit. Now to the news in full. The Federal Ministry of Environment has issued a fresh flood alert, warning that at least 26 states and the Federal Capital Territory may experience flooding between June 22nd and July 5th, 2026, following forecasts of heavy rainfall across the country. Now, the warning was cautioned, or rather contained, in a prediction released on Monday by the National Flood Early Warning Center under the ministry's Erosion, Flood and Coastal Zonal Management Department, identifying several communities as either high risk or critical risk flood zones. State listed as critical risks include Abia, Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Bayelsa, Benue, Cross River, Delta, Ebonyi, Edo, Ekiti, Enugu, Imo, Kogi, Kwara, Lagos, Niger, Ogun, Ondo, Osun, Oyo, and Rivers State, with several major towns and urban centers highlighted as vulnerable. Now, the ministry urged residents in the affected areas to take precautionary steps, including clearing drainage channels, avoiding floodplains, and preparing evacuation routes, as it warned that continued heavy rainfall could lead to significant flooding and displacement if preventive measures are not taken. The Arewa Consultative Forum and the Northern Elders Forum has warned that Nigeria could slide into anarchy if the federal government fails to rein in Yoruba Nation agitator Sunday Adeyomi, popularly known as Sunday Igboho, over his reported ultimatum to Fulani leaders in Oyo State following recent adoptions. Now, the group, alongside other Fulani associations, accused Igboho of ethnic profiling, warning that blaming an entire ethnic group for actions of suspected criminals could heighten tension and trigger reprisal across the country. However, Igboho has defended his action, insisting he was targeting criminal elements and not any ethnic nationality. Now, the controversy stems from a viral video in which Igboho reportedly issued a 2-hour ultimatum demanding the release of adopted peoples in Oke-Ogun, Oyo State, a claim which security operatives says has not been resolved, as rescue efforts are still ongoing. The ACF and NEF leaders described the ultimatum as unconstitutional and dangerous, urging the federal government, security agents, and community leaders to urgently intervene, while warning that unchecked ethnic mobilization could threaten national stability. The group, however, stressed that criminal responsibility is individual and cautioned against stereotyping, even as Igboho maintained that his agitation is focused on his security and the protection of lives in Southwest communities. A suspected improvised explosive device has detonated under a car parked in Oke-Mushin area of Lagos on Monday, injuring the owner and sparking panic among residents. Now, the explosion occurred around 6 a.m. on Way Street when the owner of a gold Toyota Sienna attempted to start the vehicle after he had been parked overnight. Now, the blast caused significant damage to the car and triggered an immediate response from security operatives. Lagos State Commissioner of Police CP Tijani Fatai confirmed that preliminary investigation indicated that the device was planted beneath the car. He said the owner sustained minor injuries and had been taken to the hospital, where bomb disposal expert has since cleared the area. Authorities say remnants of the explosive have been recovered for forensic analysis and the scene has been declared safe. Residents have been urged to remain calm as investigation continues into those behind the attack and the motive also for the attack. Now, talking politics, the presidency had dismissed calls by the Nigerian Democratic Congress presidential candidate Peter Obi for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's resignation, describing the remark as childish, hollow, and unworthy distraction. In a statement issued by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the President said Obi comments were politically motivated on an attempt to undermine the ruling party's recent electoral victories. The statement argued that Obi comparison of Nigerian system with the United Kingdom political structure showed a misunderstanding of the country's presidential system, stressing that President Tinubu remains within a constitutional fixed term. Now, it further defended the administration's performance, citing improvement in economic indicators, security operation, revenue generation, and infrastructural development since 2023, while insisting that Nigerian progress contradicts Obi's claims of national decline. Still talking politics, Governor Muhammadu Yahaya has formally presented the All Progressive Congress governorship candidate for Gombe State, Jamilu Gwana, to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the presidential villa in Abuja. Gwana emerged as APC flag bearer for the 2027 governorship election following what the party described as a decisive victory in his primary election. Now, President Tinubu congratulated Gwana on his emergence and commended Governor Yahaya for strengthening the APC in Gombe State through what he described as exemplary leadership. Governor Yahaya said the presentation was aimed at reinforcing party unity and also consolidating a governance gain in the state ahead of the 2027 election. Talking business, the National Inland Waterways Authority has intensified effort to unlock the economic potential of Nigerian inland waterways with the launch of a comprehensive cleanup program aimed at reducing pollution, improving navigational safety, and also boosting investment in the blue economy. Now, as part of the initiative, Part Central Limited have been engaged to provide strategic oversight and implementation support for the project, which stakeholders say marks a major step towards restoring environmental stability across the country's waterways. The program, initiated under the immediate past NIWA Managing Director Asuwaju Bola Oyebanji, is designed to tackle challenges such as waste dumping, oil spills, and environmental degradation that had long affected inland water transport and economic activities. Project partners said the cleanup will not only improve safety for water transport, but also support commerce, fishery, tourism, and job creation through waste management and other value-added initiatives in riverine communities. Now, the federal government has intensified calls for a reduction in the price of cement, warning that the current course is putting pressure on ongoing infrastructural projects across the country and driving up demand for contract reviews. Now, the Minister of Works, Senator David Umahi, made the appeal on Sunday in Lagos during the unveiling of the new corporate identity of Lafarge, Nigeria, now rebranded as HBM following its acquisition by China's Huixing Group. In a statement released by his media aide, the minister said the government will begin formal discussion with cement manufacturers on July 1st to address what he described as a persistent challenge of high cement prices in Nigeria. Umahi stressed that the manufacturers must take responsibility for reducing costs, noting that contractors are already under pressure and that government could not continue adjusting project contracts due to rising material prices. They also urged cement producers to expand production capacity in line with the Tinubu administration's ongoing infrastructural drive, adding that increased investment in roads, bridges, and transport projects could continue to create stronger demand across the construction sector. With that, we need to go on a break now, but do remember when we come back, more as it concerns the foreign scene and also sport. Join us again.
Don't miss out on exciting news, events, and more. Stay connected by following us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Atlantic Media and TV.
Keir Starmer has resigned as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom following weeks of internal revolts within the Labour Party, setting off a rapid leadership transition expected to elevate former Manchester Mayor Andy Bonham as a leading successor. Now, in his resignation speech outside 10 Downing Street, Starmer said he would remain in office only long enough to ensure an orderly handover describing his decision as one taking a national interest. As the departure marks a dramatic shift for the Labour government that came to power in 2024 after ending 40 years of conservative rule. Now, attention in Westminster has now turned sharply to Andy Bonham, who had rapidly emerged as a frontrunner, with growing support from key figures within the Labour Party. Senior lawmakers are increasingly aligned behind him to avoid a prolonged leadership contest, with some suggesting he could assume the role without opposition. Labour is expected to open nomination on July 9th with a new leader due by September. Although political observers says Bonham's momentum could accelerate the process significantly, positioning him for a swift path to number 10 Downing Street. Protesters in Albania has vandalized a construction site linked to former luxury development in the country's southern coastal region, aimed amid growing public anger over high-end resort projects. The unrest is part of a broader wave of demonstrations against luxury tourism development along the coastal line, which critics say are displacing communities and restricting access to public land and beaches. Tensions have been fueled by controversies surrounding several large-scale projects, including one reportedly backed by Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of US President Donald Trump, which has drawn particular attention from activists and local residents. Demonstrators argue that the project prioritized private investment over environmental protection and community needs, while authorities continue to face pressure to review approval processes for coastal development. Norway are through to the World Cup last 32 after a 3-2 win over Senegal on Monday, with Erling Haaland scoring a second consecutive brace to lead his side into the knockout stage with a game to spare. Marcus Holmgren put Norway ahead just before halftime in New Jersey before Haaland doubled the advantage early in the second half after a swift counter-attack. Senegal pulled one back through Ismail Assar, but defensive error proved costly as Haaland struck again to restore Norway's cushion. Star added later another second to set up a tense finish, but Norway held on for victory. Now, the Manchester City striker now has 4 goals in 2 matches, taking his international tally to 59 goals in 52 appearances and underlining his strong form at the tournament. The result sees Norway join France in the second round, with Senegal must now beat Iraq in their final group game to keep their hopes of progression alive. And still talking sports, Manchester City are reportedly close to appointing former Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca as the successor to Pep Guardiola after agreeing a compensation package worth over 17 million euros with Chelsea. Now, according to Sky Sport, a verbal agreement has been reached among all parties, with Maresca expected to arrive in Manchester within the next 24 hours to sign a 3-year contract. The Italian coach previously worked at City as Guardiola's assistant during the club's historic treble-winning 2023 season before taking managerial roles at Chelsea and Leicester City. Neither Manchester City nor Chelsea has officially commented on the report, but Maresca is widely seen as a leading candidate due to his familiarity with City's playing physiology and also structure. Now let's go check what the weather could look like for major cities across Nigeria today. Well, no surprise, it's still raining right here in Delta State. Well, that means it's going to rain in some major cities cut across Nigeria today. Anyway, with that weather forecast, that brings us to the end of the news on Atlantic TV. I still remain Michael Gobadia. You have a blessed day. Bye for now.